Queen Elizabeth II was 96 years old when she passed away on September 8, 2022. The Queen was always there, from World War II to now. But her death comes at the worst possible time for the United Kingdom. The United Kingdom is currently in a state of economic and political chaos. So if you're like me, you're probably asking, what happens now? Let's figure that out in this episode of Not in a Book. Overall, there are a couple of things that will happen after a monarch's death. First, the private secretary of the Queen would send a coded message to announce the death of the Queen. The message will be, London Bridge is down. Immediately after the Queen's death, her son, Prince Charles, becomes the royal head of state. No longer known as Prince Charles, but King Charles III. According to the Washington Post, the news will be broken down in a very specific way. The news is expected to be broken in a careful, somber manner, with hosts wearing black to dignify the importance of what has happened. An alarm for national emergencies, rarely used, will go off in the offices. Veteran host Jeremy Paxman wrote that in the 1970s and 80s, journalists were expected to come in on a weekend every 6 months to go through the procedure of Elizabeth's death. Long sets of guidelines were produced and laminated in plastic, Paxman wrote in his book. Flags across the United Kingdom were lowered to half-mast, and death was announced on official websites. The day of the death is known as D-Day. The following days of death are called D-Day +1 and so on. On D-Day +1, Charles is officially the king. The national anthem will be played, this time with the word God Save the King instead of God Save the Queen. D-Day +2 will be extremely important. The Queen's body will be transported to Buckingham Palace. When the Queen's body is in Buckingham Palace, top government officials will pay their respects. After, the body will be moved to Westminster Hall, and yet another ceremony will take place. Here, members of the public and VIP can pay their condolences to the Queen. After, the King will take a tour of the United Kingdom, first going to Scotland and then finally on D-Day +7 coming to Wales. D-Day +11 will be the day of the Queen's funeral. On 11 a.m. September 19th, which will be a bank holiday in England, Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland, the funeral will be held. VIPs and heads of states will be present and the funeral will be televised. According to Euronews, the funeral will be held in Westminster Abbey. It is a huge church close to Westminster Tube Station, and it's where the Queen married Prince Philip in 1947, and was also crowned in 1953. The funeral will start at 11 a.m. At midday, the UK will observe a 2-minute silence. Before the event, there will be a short procession between Westminster Hall and Westminster Abbey. The service itself will be closed to the public. Just 2,000 dignitaries and notables will be invited, including senior UK politicians and heads of state from around the world. The funeral will be televised on all major TV channels. Princess Diana's 1997 funeral remains the most watched live televised event of all time. After the funeral, there's no official plan. At least not that we know of. The Queen will live on in our minds forever. Her service to our country was unlike any other monarch to ever live. Being the longest reigning monarch in British history, she has done a lot of things in her lifetime that she'll be remembered for. Rest in peace, Queen Elizabeth II.